Hello, hello, hello. Hi, Lucy.
Hi, Sharon. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm Sharon Taylor, founder and CEO of the Business Vision and Development Center. Get tongue-tied when I'm meeting with Lucy. And I have Lucy Glover here. She is the founder and designer of Talooka Studio. And also, full disclosure, she is BVDC's brand strategist. Welcome to Small Business Spotlight, and thank you for agreeing to sit with me today.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So, during the month of October, uh, we've decided, Lucy and I, because she helps me develop my calendar for the year, we decided that October would be about brand strategy. And who better to have uh who better to have than Lucy be on this show as my brand strategist? Please forgive me, Lucy. I've been getting tongue-tied all day long.
It's okay. I know. It's 2 o'clock, so I feel you. You've been
So,
working.
so let's get started. Let's give the viewers a little background on how you decided on Talooka Studio. What brought you to brand strategies and, a little bit of your background?
Yeah. So before we start, I guess I want to say like we help with brand strategy, but we are a component within brand strategy.
Okay.
And I think a lot of people get mixed up with the words brand strategy, identity, positioning. Like there's so much that goes into it, and brand strategy is like I guess, the full circle of it all. And there's
Okay.
different components in brand strategy. And one of those components is visual identity. And so that's where Talooka Studio focus on. And visual identity is just basically how you look and represent yourself. And then there's some other brand strategies that we not necessarily we create, but we use to help. So that might be, your mission and vision, your audience, your pillars, like who you are, your tagline. So these elements are part of your brand strategy, and we use those elements to build your brand and visual identity.
Okay. So I'm going to use myself as an example.
Mhm.
So my logo, my colors, my name, and my website, which you, Lucy, and Talooka Studio developed. Is that my brand identity
Um,
or
a little
brand
bit.
strategy?
Right. So again, it kind of goes, it's like a sandwich, right? Like there's so many components in a sandwich, but at the end of the day, it's like, oh, this is a BLT sandwich. So um your brand identity is pretty much like three things. It's your logo, your colors, and your fonts.
Okay.
Sometimes you have graphics like your butterflies, some elements. The your brand identity is something you use over and over again. When you talk about your website, that is a brand marketing or touch point. So that's when we get into marketing. We create that as well.
Yes,
But
you
you may
do.
find other designers that only do brand logos or only do websites or only do different types of marketings, but we kind of do a little, we kind of touch point on everything. But so if that makes sense, yeah, your brand identity is your logo, colors, those visual assets. And then when it comes to how you put yourself out there, comes your website, your business cards, social media. Those are brand collateral pieces or marketing pieces. Does that make
So,
sense?
yes, it does in in theory. But
Yeah.
what I know based on working with you, you're a one-stop shop, and that's what I needed to know, right?
Right,
I
right,
don't
right.
have to go over here to get my logo. I didn't have to go over there to get my website. I didn't have to go somewhere else to get my marketing plan. Toluca Studio did the entire thing for me, which I think is important because you know me. You
Right,
know all of me, all of my business, everything. And if I had to piece that out, those pieces may not fit like a puzzle would go
right.
together.
Yeah, it's good to work with someone you know, but it's also good to have what you need as a business owner just in case I'm not around. So having your brand style guide with all your information in it. So when you do take it to another designer, all your
Never,
colors right there.
never,
No.
never.
Glad to hear. But if you do take it to another designer or something outside of my wheelhouse, so I don't really do big websites. So like I'm not a web developer. So if someone needs like extra coding and extra things like that, you may got to take your brand identity I created for you and go to a developer. So it's good to have that brand guideline that we created for you as well.
Okay, well, let me focus on the website portion of what you've done for me. And
Mhm.
even though this interview is about you and what you do, it's going to keep harkening back to
Of
me.
course. You're a good
So,
example.
yeah, because I get so many compliments on my website. In fact, yesterday, a whole organization reached out to me and said, how great my website looked. And of course, I recommended you, so you may be getting a call. But what I like about you, and we're going to get more into brand strategy more and about Talooka, is the fact that as we had a conversation when we first met, you were able to draw out what it was that I needed and I was looking for, but I wasn't able to really verbalize. Now, I find this to be a gift or an art, but tell me about the journey, about put me in your mind. How do these pieces seem to come together so easily for you?
I think as I've grown, I started as a just a designer or graphic designer, which just kind of focused on like flyers. I've been doing this for maybe like I think over like 13 years now. So in the beginning, it was just about designing just to make things look pretty. But as I grew older and I kind of specialized in branding, the strategic part came of it. So understanding like as a designer, we're not just making things look pretty, but we're trying to fix a problem or we're trying to communicate something. So, in the beginning, because you work with me, we always start with like a workshop. And that
Mm-hmm.
is kind of understanding the strategy, that brand strategy. So who are you? What services are you selling? Who's your target audience? A number of different other factors as well. And then we really try to understand, okay, what's the steps in that? So what's that user journey? And that is a whole nother thing as well, like user experience. So we kind of tap into different things to make a better product. And so I think that's why the website works so well, is because we didn't just say, oh, let's put these things on and make it look pretty, or
Mm-hmm.
but we actually like try to understand the journey and figure it out. Okay, what are you trying to say as a business owner? How can we help communicate that on the website?
But as I think about all the pieces that go into a brand,
Mhm.
it's the customer base, it's the font, it's the colors, it's the logo to make all those pieces fit together. And I'm sure sometimes you get pushback from a client. Me, for instance, I gave you some pushback in the beginning on naming the business. How do you kind of navigate or get them to kind of see it in a way that is advantageous to them? Because some people just want to name a business whatever, and if you do the acronym, it's very off-putting, or the
Mhm.
words could not reflect. what they're looking for. So how do you kind of guide them? What's the conversation like when somebody wants something that you think is just,
I
ugh.
mean, we really try to explain it based on my point of view. I'm not saying I'm the almighty, I'm right, but basically I try to explain it and just kind of put in facts and statistics and knowledge
Okay.
that I've built on. And I know, having a long name, there's tricks to having a long name. And you can look at other organizations and see what happens when people have a long name. There's reasons for things. So I don't just try to say, oh, I don't like it. And that was one thing I hated in school, getting critiqued and someone said they didn't like it. I really wanted to know, why don't you like it? Is it something that could be fixed, or do I have to start from scratch?
Mm-hmm.
So we really try to explain where we're coming from, whether that's something that we don't like you want to choose the color purple for a business that might be very serious, or it may not touch on those reasons for purple. Like at the end of the day, if you want to do something for yourself, and we've had to tell people too, like, is this a hobby that you may want to do, or are you trying to make money? At the end of the day, if you're a nonprofit, every business needs to make money, and to make money, you got to touch on the other person. So you kind of got to take
Mm,
yourself out of it and really figure
mm.
out, what do I need to say? What do I need to look like for that audience, for that other person to trust me and come to me and buy my services or volunteer with me, or do whatever you need them to do as an organization to help you grow. And if you don't get there, that's what separate the successful people from the people
Girl,
like not moving.
that is so true because I always, and you know the story, and I tell it to a million people about when I wanted to name my business, Mind Your Own Business, MYOB. I was just sure that was going to be a hit.
And it could
Mind Your
have.
Own Business.
It really could have. But I think your target
But
audience for organizations and bigger companies, I'm not sure how professional that would have came
right.
off.
And then you gave me the example. Somebody comes up to me and say, "Oh, tell me about your business. What's your business name?" And I say, "Mind your own business." I'd be like, "Okay, what kind of connotation does that give?" So let's move on from all the crazy names that I had before we
But I
landed
like
on,
your creativity. And you used it again, just maybe not as your business name, but you
yes.
used it as another component or workshop within the business. And that's also something to look at too. Like, maybe this isn't good for your overall identity, but maybe you can use it in different ways. So,
Now let's talk about creating, and I may use words interchangeably.
okay.
The benefits of having a brand and brand strategy. Tell
Mhm.
us the benefits of that.
Focus.
Mhm.
Focus within yourself so you can know where you're going and how you're getting there, but also having focus for your audience and consistency so they can build trust. Because if
Mhm.
one place 1 month and then you're somewhere else doing this the next month, people might look at you like, oh, they don't know she doesn't know what she wants to do, or I don't know, she's a little bit of everywhere. I can't trust her to take care of my services. So by not being consistent and not being focused in where you want to go can cause some distress, and you're going to lose clients that way. Um, and you want to build your credibility. So you want to build your portfolio and kind of build that niche. I've heard a lot of people say niche. Niche is something hard for me. That's why you say I do logos and websites. But someone might tell me, yeah, you need to just focus on logos, right? And I'm like, well, that's not the niche that I want to stay in. So um I know where I stop, and I know where we begin. And I think when you understand that, then you start to create some consistency, and you're able to talk directly to your audience and build the trust you need and build that portfolio you need to show that I can do this and I can take care of it.
You helped me with that when even up until, and I've been doing this for a minute, but I was all over the place. I want to do veterans. I want to do youth. I want to do returning citizens. Want to do. And I was all over the place. And what you helped me do, you kept coming back to who is your audience. And we finally nailed it down to, even though the demographics in terms of like gender, financial status, we still haven't kind of fine-tuned that, but at least you got me to focus on the the years that entrepreneurs have been up and running. So I have my 0 to 4 years,
Mhm.
and we named them the newbies. Then we
Mhm.
have the 5 to 9 years in business, which are our rising stars, and 10 or more are our seasoned entrepreneurs. So in 2025, there will be more focus on each group because their needs are different.
Correct. And so that you're doing brand strategy, but you're focused on the target audience as a component within brand strategy. And then it builds onto your other brand strategies as far as your services. And now
Mm-hmm.
you're talking about your other brand strategy as far as your marketing. So the brand strategy is, when we talk about that, it's a wide component, but they kind of work together.
And without you, I probably would still be all over the place because in my mind, I still am. But at
I
least,
mean,
and
as an entrepreneur, we are all over the
yeah.
place. Please don't ever think that I am not all over the place. Me and Tanisha, my business partner, we be really like, okay, what are we focused on now? And we really check in with ourselves, quarterly. Probably should do it. No, we don't do it quarterly. We need to do it quarterly, but check in and like, okay, are we on the right path? What clients are we getting? We're getting a lot of these. Do we continue to want to get these type of clients?
Mm-hmm.
Or okay, why are we getting these type of clients? Because sometimes your clients can make you go in the direction over here, but you want to go over here, and it's because of word of mouth, and they see the work that you're doing. So definitely evaluate your strategies. Come back to it. It's not a one-time thing, and just be like, okay, where do we want to go? Are we going in the right way?
Well, when you talk about that, it makes me think about when you said focus,
Mhm.
because what you have done for me and for people to know how we kind of work, we meet once a week,
Mhm.
and we meaning Lucy, has developed, with the help of my creativity, of course, has developed a strategy, and it's in a Google Doc, and it's a working document that we work on all year. And so that way, when I start to veer, I can go back to that document and say, this particular month, this is what I'm supposed to be focused on, even down to social media posts, how many YouTubes. You have been very instrumental in terms of me staying on track.
Yeah, and that's
So I think that's important with a brand, because if I'm looking at you every Tuesday to get the update, and then now it's on a Thursday, and now it may be on a Sunday, then I'm just going to get agitated and tune off.
yeah. Eventually, yes. I mean, we do that unless you are someone that you can continue to get mad at because clearly they already put a staple in there. Then you can start to mess up. But if you're new and you're building yourself, you really got to make sure that you're consistent and on point with stuff and every single point. So we just did a conference where we just spoke and we talked about different touch points, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
think people get only stuck on like two main touch points, and that is your website and social media. But
Mm,
people
mm.
don't like, we don't really use social media. Maybe we should. I don't know. We just don't have the efforts to do it. We try to get on there and say that we're here, but that's not what we put our efforts on as far as brand points. And the brand point is just every interaction that a customer comes to you. So that might be through Google Yelp, that might be through word of mouth, That might be through a speaking engagement. That might be through a flyer that you have sitting out. And then, so that's the beginning of that engagement. And then you have the engagements where now I'm in it. So what does my proposals look like? What does my invoices look like? What does my, now we're working together. What do those, are they still on brand? What type of experience is the user getting now that you're working with me? And then you got the post engagement. What type of experience are you getting after? What is those email newsletters looking like? Do you send a thank you out? How are you following up with that person? So I think we need to look at those different touch points of a client and figure out, how can I really make my brand stand out and be unique from the beginning to the end and after? Because when it's after, it's not really done, because they can come back and want something else, or they can refer you to someone else. But if you kind of drop the ball, it's like dating someone, right? Like, oh, you was cool, you was all good on the first date, and then now I'm interested on the second date. You looking a little shady. And even now that we not together, now you acting crazy. Like, so you got to really
That's
think
a
about.
good analogy.
So really look at all the different touch points of who your business is in every single interaction with your audience. And so that's kind of what we kind of been wanting to focus on, because there is more than social media and website, and we can't
Yes.
stop there. Yeah.
And the thing that strikes me with that is, because my next question was going to be, what makes an effective strategy or an effective brand? But there is not, I want to say there's no template.
Right.
Each individual business, each individual industry, and each individual person are going to bring so many different characteristics, that, which is a good thing, because you don't want to look like the one next to you. But for you as the person that's doing it, you have to be able to say, this doesn't fit with this person or this business. Because, like in my industry, everybody who is a business strategist or consultant isn't going to look like me
Mm-hmm.
or act like me. I'm more butterflyish, and there are
Right.
going to be some people that are going to be more pinned up, buttoned up, and tuned up.
Mm-hmm.
So it it's like this delicate dance that you do with your clients. So one, I'm comfortable in the outfit that you put me in.
Mm-hmm.
And two, the client on the outside looking in knows what they're getting.
Correct. Yeah.
And so that's what I think the recipe is in
Mm-hmm.
terms of a brand. And knowing, when you see just the package, the logo, the website, you recognize who it is behind it. Did I get all that right? Did I get an A on my test today?
Yeah, you got an A. You got an A. I think, like you said, the recipe, where you look into a recipe, there's some things that have to stay the same, right? Like you got to have some components, like a certain recipe, but you may use a different, go back to the sandwich. Instead of using just regular mayo, you may use a spicy mayo.
I
And that
want the
might,
spicy.
yeah, so that might up your sandwich a little bit. Instead of regular bacon, you may use honey smoked bacon, the best bacon. So I think it's like different. It's the same,
Uh-huh.
like it doesn't change. You're gonna need your logos, you're gonna need your colors, you're gonna need your consistency. You need to
Okay.
know who you are. You have to have a target audience. However, it looks different for different people, but it's the same things. And if you're skipping something, you can't skip with strategy. You can't do your logo without knowing your purpose, because
Mm-hmm.
now now you didn't created something that doesn't connect. You can't make these visuals without knowing who your target audience is, because like you said, your target audience for what you're selling might be real professional, and you want to be playful, but your target audience isn't playful. So now you either need to go to somewhere else that might be playful, or you need to find those playful target audience. So
You got all of that right. As we
thank you for
close
that.
out, is there anything you'd like to share? Please also share your website
Yeah.
information and what we kind of, as we, and I'm asking for me as a client,
Mhm.
when we have our brand and we want to expand our brand, is that difficult if we want to take it? I'm gonna just put it out there so we can talk about it on my next meeting. So, like for instance, I'm the Business Vision and Development Center.
Mhm.
To me, center means one location or one room or office. If I wanted to expand to university, would you be able to help me? The business vision and development, would it be center university? And you don't have to answer right now or take off the center, be university. But how difficult is it for a brand that starts kind of local and then expands nationally?
I'm not gonna say I have much advice on that. I mean, we've been local, but we've always kind of did things in different states. Um, and like we're a studio, we're not an agency. And even if and I think an agency means you just have a lot of more people involved.
Okay.
And you just may have more different components within your studio. I
Okay.
still think we will be studio, just because the meaning of studio. So sometimes people look at names and they just really put their own aspect on the name. But
Yes.
you can take that name and do whatever you want to with the name. Just like how you did center meaning that. Um, but center may not mean that for everybody. It just means that for you. But it's also there's some pros and some cons with being a center versus a university or a studio versus an agency. I like being small and petite and specialized than versus being this big agency where maybe I can't have this relationship with you, saying I
Yes.
thought
Yes.
empathy. I
Yes.
might have to do my position and then someone else may have to come through there.
Oh,
So many people. So I think you just really need to know, and I think we asked this too, like, what does your goals look like? Like, where do you see yourself in 10, 20 years? And as a name, if you see yourself, I think I might expand, then you probably shouldn't get a name where it keeps you limited. And that's
ah,
the main thing that should be talked about in the beginning. But if you're, that's like when people they use their name and then they expand to a bigger organization. I mean, lawyer firms do that, right? They don't change their name because now they got all these other lawyers under them. Their name is just a part of who they are now. So I don't think the name really changes that much. You don't really, and then once you establish that name, it's hard to really change it once you have now you got to kind of start all over again. Sometimes you could change the logo or update your logo, but changing the name, unless you're haven't been in the game that long, you kind of got to start all over with SEO. People got to get familiar
uh,
with. So I'm not a big change, just up and change your name, um, unless it wasn't a good name.
in the
So,
first, let's scrap that. But you did give me some food for thought there because my name goes with my brand, and my brand is about being accessible. And
mm,
if it should change now that I'm thinking about it to university, then I lose that in my mind, that accessibility. Just like you said, going from studio to agency. I always want to be accessible where you feel like you can send me an email and I'm going to respond.
yeah, and then yeah, we could talk about the name. Like it's a lot of reasons why I wouldn't want you to do university. I mean, your name already long. I don't want it to be any longer. Business Visions and Development
Y'all
University.
hearing that over there? Y'all clients hearing that?
So think about that as well. Like, you don't want a whole
Oh, I'm
mouthful.
already sold. I'm not changing my
Yeah,
name.
okay. Yeah. But thank you
I'd
all
have
for
to change this thing, but where's my finger? I'd have
right
to
there.
change that, but they would have to change. We're not
Yeah,
doing that.
about to say, yeah, everything changes when you do that. Yeah.
So, my suggestion to those watching, when you start your business, get with Talooka Studio. Do it right the first time.
Do it right the first time. It just
Do it
saves you.
right the first time, and then you're comfortable. You're selling. My beautiful Zoom background. That's my office. It's the center. Come have a Coke. Get some sparkling water. Talk to
Oh,
Lucy. What?
another thing that I want people to leave with. One more thing that I
Okay.
want people is make before the logo. It's something important than more than the logo on the website,
Oh,
right?
people are crazy about their logo.
Oh no. Make sure you have a problem and solution, please. You trying to get a logo before you even know if people want your stuff. And we don't take clients if you haven't worked with a client. We don't do logos if you haven't had a client because number one, I don't want you to waste your money. You don't know if your idea is going to work. And number two, you may think you want to go this way because you have your idea, but you haven't tested and vetted it out yet. And now your logo don't have nothing to do for where you should be or where you are in a year or two. So test out your idea, use, a little professional name or something like that. But I think knowing that you have a problem, knowing that there's a problem and knowing that you have found a solution for that problem is way more important than having a logo. And I think that's why that's at the bottom of your brand strategy. So definitely
Yeah,
understand.
because I don't want to see a logo with rocket ships and flyers, and it has nothing to do with you being a CPA. I'm, because when you were growing up, you wanted to be an astronaut and you were determined to have this logo no matter what you did. So
Well,
give
definitely. Thank
Talooka Studio a call.
you.
So
We'll
Lucy,
tell you, don't do
where
that.
can people find you, Lucy?
Definitely hit us up on our website, Talooka Studio, Tallooka. We're also on all the Insta media channels. We just don't be on there that much, but if you reach out, we see you. Hit us up on LinkedIn, of course, or Instagram, and yeah,
And she's
and
also on our website. You can
yeah,
go into my small business resources, click on her picture, and bam, you're into her website.
email me at hello@talookastudio.com.
Thank you so much, Lucy. It was a
Thank you.
pleasure. And
Yes,
I guess I'll see you again next Thursday.
it's Thursday. All right. See you soon.
Okay, bye bye.
Have me. Bye bye.
Like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss a thing.